friends, it's Anna and happy almost October. We are doing a classic fall bullet journal setup today, embracing all the warm, cozy autumn vibes. But the setup is actually super simple and easy, even though I think it turned out really cute. Grab your pumpkin spice latte or favorite fall drink, get cozy, and let's start journaling. We're starting out with my cover page, which I'm so happy with. I've never really done a design like this before, but I think it turned out so well. I'm using some really light beige pens to do a backdrop of a gingham pattern, which is just to highlight every third row in the dot grid, both vertically and horizontally. Then I'll use a slightly darker color to add a vertical stripe in the middle of the highlights. We're doing pumpkins for this month's theme, and I'm going to draw those in using my ARTX acrylic markers. I've used these several times in my journal, and ARTX just sent me their new 90 color set and are so kindly sponsoring this video. Let's open up this new box here. There are 90 vibrant colors, and they come already organized in this holder that stores them upside down, which is great for preserving the ink. The pens also have the numbers printed on the bottom, which is a nice update from their previous marker sets, but they still come with the stickers for labeling the numbers on the body of the pen too. These have a brush tip that you don't have to shake or press before using. It's ready to go and the ink flows super easy. I did go ahead and swatch all the colors so you can see them on a journal page. There are so many beautiful options with the 90 set, and as you can see, there's lots of great warm oranges and greens for fall. They also updated their 90 color sets to this more compact box size, which is nice. So here are the main colors I chose for our palette for October. I love the warmth and earthiness to these. The colors are definitely one of my favorite parts of this setup. And if you're interested in these markers, I will link them in the description box below. So be sure to check that out, and thank you to ARTX for sending these over. So I know pumpkins for October is the most obvious, unoriginal thought ever, but I was honestly okay with that. This was the idea I kept on coming back to, and I'm not tired of pumpkins yet, so I hope you guys aren't too tired of them either. I'm drawing 4 differently shaped pumpkins / gourds in a vertical line down the page, halfway overlapping with that plaid background. I had this idea to concentrate all the drawings on the left side, and will eventually add the title at the bottom. I felt like the asymmetry will actually look really good. The first step for the pumpkins is their base color. You can see the acrylic pigment of these ARTX markers is very saturated, very vibrant. It covers up the marker lines already on the page with no problem, so these are great for layering. Next, I'm using a fine liner to get some black outlines. I really like this style with the acrylic markers, to use them for the color and then add a thin black outline, especially if I'm doing really simple drawings like these. This is also the art style I used for my Kiki's Delivery Service theme back in May. These were already looking so cute, but I thought it'd look even better to put some patterns on top of the base colors. I think even though this setup is extremely easy, it's still really satisfying and fun to look at because of all the variety. The pumpkins are different colors. I tried to draw them in a variety of shapes, and they'll have different patterns on top too. Starting with this bottom one, we're doing some checkers with a darker blue, and you can see these markers layer really well. I can completely cover up the bottom color, especially if it's fully dry, even if I'm going over it with a lighter color. The flexible brush tip also allows you to get pretty fine detail with the point, but also color in a larger area if you're pressing down. These middle two pumpkins are my favorites, I think. I'm doing tiny 5-point flowers in white on the red pumpkin, and I added a little dot in the middle to represent the pistil of the flowers. We're doing white polka dots for the green, and as you can see with all the patterns, I'm following the grooves of the pumpkins instead of going over any of the black outlines. I think this helps the patterns maintain the shape and texture of the pumpkins. Lastly, I'm adding some thick and thin stripes in the dark orange to the top pumpkin here. I'm so happy with how all the colors complement each other in this page and the asymmetrical look with everything on the left. The last touch is our title of October. I had already sketched this out using a stencil set, so I'm just following my pencil lines with the black ARTX marker. I chose a bold serif font. I thought I needed something bold since it was going to be down at the bottom. And I'm using the white marker here to clean up some of the lines. This marker is actually a great whiteout tool that I frequently use in my journal for fixing mistakes by any marker. And that is it for the cover page. The gingham, the colors, and of course the pumpkins are giving me all the fall vibes. On the left page, I'm starting on my October log, which is my monthly calendar system. I'm going to draw out that plaid pattern as a base again, which works out perfectly to highlight some of the columns in my log and separate out the weeks. I love it when the decoration works out perfectly with the functionality of a spread. So I'm writing the days of the month and days of the week in 2 columns, and the space to the right is for all my calendar events. I plan in complete 4 or 5 week increments in my journal, so there's 28 days here. The dates of October worked out well for this to be a 5-week month, but I didn't realize that until it was too late. So this whole October setup, my log and weeklies and everything will only go through Sunday, October 26th. And I'll have to include the last few days of October in my November bullet journal setup. Now we're adding the title up top, sticking with that serif stencil font in black. And I'm going to add 2 pumpkins to border it. This page is incredibly simple to set up, which you'll see was the goal for all of this setups pages. Oh, and I almost spelled calendar wrong, so I'm fixing that with some whiteout. And you can see the stencils I use here for the letters. I was actually filming this when I was 38 weeks pregnant, and Simple and Easy was the name of the game. I really wanted a theme and layouts that would still look pretty and be functional to use, of course, but take minimal time and energy to set up, and this theme definitely accomplished that. The intricacy of my journal pages definitely varies based on how much time and creative energy I have. So as you can see, I chose a beige base color for both of these pumpkins, which matches the gingham colors really well. I really like that these acrylic markers can work with other mediums, like they look really good when you're also using brush pens or washi tape or other materials on the page too. I thought I'd try using the brown I've been using for the pumpkin stems to do one of the patterns and the orange for the other side. I didn't end up loving how this looked. I was trying to make this page pretty neutral since it's mainly a functional page, and I wanted to draw more visual attention to the cover page next to it. But I think it is missing some color contrast. I wasn't exactly sure how I would want to fix that though, so I just left it for now. Every page can't be your favorite, I guess. Next up, we have a spread that's for my monthly task list and notes. Again, keeping the overall design of the pages extremely simple here. I'm drawing a rounded box frame for each of the sections and then sticking with that same font for the titles. I'm leaving plenty of room outside the boxes because you'll see I wanted to try doing the plaid pattern across the whole page. By the time you guys are seeing this video, we will have definitely had our baby boy, and I will still be on maternity leave, so I didn't feel I needed anything too complicated for my October setup. You'll see on the next pages that my weekly has a little more to it with some trackers, but these 2 pages are really basic. I'm giving myself a bunch of empty space within these 2 sections to write down whatever I might need to throughout the month. And like I said, at this point, I was still creating these setups well in advance before baby arrived and kind of just totally guessing what type of journal spreads I would need postpartum. But I'm super excited and curious to see in the coming months when I come back to content creation and making my journal spreads in real time again, what sort of layouts I'll be using and if bullet journaling changes for me at all to accommodate parenthood. Anyways, you can see that I did that pattern across the whole background of both pages, and I switched to 2 Crayola markers that were really light because I didn't want this to be too overwhelming or distracting. I think the lighter colors definitely look better in this case. I'm going to go on top of that background to draw some more pumpkins with the leftover space. Again, I'm changing up the size and shapes of each one as well as the colors and patterns. I really love the longer gourd shaped ones. I feel like that was very much needed to break up all the roundness. I also tried to change up the directions that all the stems were pointing and the shape and size of those. I'm doing a new pattern here, which I'm so happy I added to the mix. I'm drawing some little vining leaves with the blue. I love how delicate and pretty these look. I feel like these patterns are not only great for this bullet journal theme, but it'd be so fun to actually paint mini pumpkins with these patterns and decorate with them around the house. I might actually do that, and then our home decor could match my bullet journal. And these ARTX pens are actually the perfect tool for that. This acrylic ink works on multiple surfaces: glass, wood, ceramic, pumpkins. They are definitely great to have on hand for general crafting, not just drawing. I've used my other sets for several crafts over the past year. I am so excited to start going through the holidays with kids because I just remember all the fun holiday crafts I did when I was little. The homemade ornaments for Christmas, all the pumpkin decorating or carving for Halloween. I'm planning on doing a mandrake costume for our baby boy for his first Halloween. Mandrake being the crying plant from Harry Potter and other fantasy stories. I saw that online and thought it was such a brilliant costume for a baby. I need to figure out which characters from Harry Potter me and my husband should be to go along with that, so feel free to give me any suggestions. And let me know what fall crafts or activities or traditions you guys love for this season. If you have a special recipe you bake every year or favorite fall outing, I would love to start some of those traditions with our family this year. We're finishing off this spread with another 3 pumpkins on the right page. Unlike the cover, these pages are very symmetrical. I think I liked the arrangement of pumpkins I did on the left side a little better than these last ones, but these 2 pages I still think look nice all together. I felt like the checkered pumpkin was somehow a little too much, so I did go back over with the lighter orange a little bit. On to my last set of spreads for October. These next 8 pages will be all my weeklies for the month, and I'm also going to be using a Dutch door to have my habit tracker and mood tracker visible throughout all these pages as well. We're going to start off making the trackers. First, my habits. These are going to be in a skinny little column all the way over to this left side. My mood tracker will be the same way on the right side, so you guys will see these will bookend the daily sections. That will make more sense when I cut the Dutch doors. I always forget I should film making the Dutch door first, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. I'm including 4 habit trackers. Each one is a mini calendar for 4 weeks, which I'm outlining using a couple of the different pumpkin colors. The habit is labeled up top, and I have a row for the days of the week as well. Each day that I complete that habit, I can mark a little X in its respective square. These are the 4 staple habits I want to make sure I'm keeping up with postpartum: taking my prenatal, meeting my water goal, eating enough throughout the day, and getting outside at least once a day. I think if I can keep up with these, I'll be doing pretty good in the newborn phase. But we'll see when we actually get to October. Like I've mentioned, I'm filming this way in advance, and sometimes when I make spreads super ahead of time, I end up going back with whiteout and changing what I want to track when I actually get to that point. There's definitely pros and cons of setting up your journal ahead of time. Now we're going to flip back several pages to do my mood tracker. I mentioned this last month because I did pretty much the same layout for September, that I was bringing back my mood tracker after a long hiatus because I feel like it's going to be especially important to be aware of during the postpartum stage. I had felt like in general mood trackers had stopped serving me. I didn't really need them anymore, which is the awesome thing about bullet journaling, is you can constantly update your journal to fit whatever's going on in your life. And during this time, I think it will be really good to intentionally check in every day with how I'm doing emotionally. I'm using a 1 line a day method, which is by far my favorite format of mood tracker. It's similar to my calendar log. Each day I have a line to write down my mood, and the fact that it's a blank line gives me the freedom to write any emotion, multiple moods, context. I know I don't have a lot of space here, and I hope that's not going to be an issue. I do use a 0.3 size pen in my journal, so my writing on all these pages is pretty tiny. And I can always add a tip in if I feel like I'm really using this and need to write more down. For both the mood and habit tracker, I use the extra little space to draw a pumpkin. I'm bringing back the vining leaves for this green one, and now we're going to cut out these Dutch doors. Each of the tracker columns are 8 squares wide in this A5 size journal, so I'm cutting out those outer 8 squares for all the middle pages. We're about to make all my weeklies in these middle pages, but both trackers are going to be accessible no matter what week I'm on. My journal is usually lying open to the current day, so I thought if I had any chance at keeping up with trackers in the newborn phase, it would be best if they were just right there. I don't even have to turn to a different page. The only thing I don't love about this layout is I have to use a binder clip to keep the middle pages lying flat. Although once I'm in this section of my journal every day, the pages might just stay down with the constant use. They were starting to do that even as I was just working on this first weekly. So let's go ahead and make the daily sections for the first week of October. Again, I'm starting with that gingham pattern as a background, using the lighter colors since there's a lot else going on. And I forgot to add the darker stripes, so you'll see me do that at the very end. I'm writing the days of the week in a cursive font. I think this setup was desperately needing a little more variety in the fonts, so I'm glad to finally add that here. After all the titles are in, I'll add a box to enclose each daily. The daily sections will be 8 by 17 squares in my journal with 2 squares between them. I'm curious if this will be enough space because normally when I'm not on maternity leave, I give myself way more room for each day. I have one box for both Saturday and Sunday, and that leaves me enough room to have a bigger notes area, or I might use this as a weekly task list. I wasn't sure what I might want that section for, so when in doubt, I just label things notes because that can encompass anything, whether it's to-dos or a memory or affirmations, all things I write in my journal. It's really coming together with all the borders in, and now for the last decoration, I'm drawing a mushroom in the notes box. This turned out so cute. I'm so sad I didn't think to start drawing in mushrooms for the earlier spreads. I'm doing a classic reddish orangey cap, and for both the stem and cap, I'll add a little shadow on the left to give it a little more depth. This is definitely something I could have done to the pumpkins too if I had wanted the art to look a little more realistic. Now I'm adding in those darker stripes to the background, and that is it for this weekly and my October bullet journal setup. We'll flip through all the final pages in a second. I hope you guys enjoyed this very autumnal, Halloweenish setup for October. It definitely got me so excited for fall, and I know I'm going to enjoy being in these cozy pages throughout the month. Thank you guys for watching, for your support, and all the well wishes for the baby. I am wishing you a wonderful start to October.